Welcome to Real Talk, episode 140. I'm Todd, this is AJ, and we're back.
We're back. It's a time to be alive.
Yep, because we're breathing. So, what's Real Talk? Opportunity to talk about life, God, the Bible, and I truly mean this, everything in between.
Everything.
Somewhere in the description of this video and or podcast, you will find a link. And that link, while working, is, it works all the time, we're just kidding. It's at www.theremnant.life/real-talk, and the real in that is REAL.
That's right.
www.theremnant.life/real-talk, and it will appear right here on the video. If you were listening to a podcast, it doesn't appear anywhere because it's just in your ears.
That's right.
So, that's it. We got a lot of good questions, got some topics, about to do a deep dive that we probably haven't done since, well, as you know, the great pandemic of 2020.
That's right, man.
Which we talked about life.
Yeah, man. It's gonna be real deep, so you guys should stick around.
By the way, I like that shirt.
Thanks, man.
Now, when I say this, it's not an insult.
Okay.
It's sort of a, what are those guys that chop trees down?
Oh,
lumberjack shirt.
Nice.
Except but hear me out. It's classy. It's a classy.
I'm a classy lumberjack.
Yeah, it looks good. Man.
Heck yeah, man. I do more than chop wood. I speak words well.
Yeah. Didn't know where you were meaning. Because you did your creepy voice. Anyway, so we're excited about that. One little thing for everyone. Funturn is bundled legitimately in a blanket.
Yeah, he is.
Turns out, most likely, he has food poisoning. From what we have deduced, was most likely from an undercooked chicken tender. Now, as far as I know, and he's only going to nod, he probably won't talk today, this was microwavable? No, he says no. Oven cooked?
No, it was fryer cooked.
At your work?
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Did you do it too fast?
Yeah.
He goes, yeah, man.
Normal time, and then
Guilty.
I did it on my dash.
Wait, so you did do it normal time?
Yeah.
So how would it have gotten bad?
Well, I did the normal time that I was told to do. Whether that's the actual normal time and it wasn't somebody else telling me how to.
Well,
that's hilarious.
and
lazy at my job. That's a completely different conversation.
And the bottom line is, listen, at the end of the day, he ate this tender. He remembers saying, a little iffy about this.
Yeah, that's right.
You finished it, though.
Yep.
Yeah.
Two more tenders.
Oh, you had 2 more tenders after that. Cooked the same way?
Yep.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, so he's struggling today.
Yeah.
In all seriousness, he's hurting. But that's commitment, man.
It is commitment.
Real talk commitment.
That's right.
That's it.
Yep.
So, briefly, I suppose, we haven't really talked about this. Anything going on in your life?
Yeah, man. Just a continuous...
Sorry about that.
Continuous, just... I don't want to call it a cycle because I don't like the... It's not what I'm thinking of, but...
Progress?
There we go. Yeah, just progress towards, I know I've shared with you guys, the past couple times we've done this, of just really having to look in the mirror of who I am and just continue to push through the junk that I don't want to look at. So, the latest one I'm realizing is that I'm just a lazy person. I've said it, I've had talks about it in the past, but I think in those times I still wasn't fully willing to be like, you know what, you're right, I am lazy. But, today I kind of hit this place like, dude, you are lazy. Like, you just got to own that and then move on. And so that's kind of where I'm at with that. And also just ownership. Ownership of what I love, ownership of my mistakes. I'm just trying to get into a place of ownership. So I've even kind of taken it up to even say like out loud, like ownership, because
really cool, man.
I'm trying to, I'm really trying to just focus on what I can do in all situations, because I know the moment I stop that is when I can start blaming others, or I can start, looking for excuses to put on others. So that's kind of where I'm at, to keep it brief. Just trying to claim ownership for my life, whether that's good or bad.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. And I've noticed a difference, and I think, I won't go too much into it, but I think for you, the journey is, okay, seeing that stuff's hard.
Yeah.
And yourself that you want to change. And then you go too far sometimes, right? Because you want to do, and then you just kind of come back to yourself. So that's,
yeah.
Because again, change does not mean there has to be shame involved.
That's good.
A lot of times we feel that way.
That's,
and I know
true.
That's going a little deeper than what you described, but to encourage you, I've seen some progress, man.
Thank you.
Based on what you're wanting to get, not my definition of it, but your own goals. So it's been cool to see.
Thank you.
Yeah.
How about you, man? How you doing?
Well, I want to address this fly swatter.
Okay.
Because everyone on camera can see it. There's a pesky little fly floating around here. He seems to know, that we're coming for him because since we've been filming, I have not seen him.
Yeah,
Have you?
man, he's good at hiding. No, I haven't seen him anywhere.
So I feel like in order to address the classy nature of this fly swatter, sitting on, I just wanted to say that.
Nice.
If you're listening to the podcast, you're like, why are they wasting 30 seconds of my life telling me about this? In case you hear this, right? Or that was a fly swatter. Nothing was hit, but it could be. So, how am I doing? I'm doing okay, man. I think I talked about it. Did I talk about? I think I talked about the exercise on here where I sent out, how I come off to people. So I still got a couple back. Speaking of which, your girlfriend, who I tried to honor by that, just ignored it. So she never watched the show. She'll never hear it.
I'm gonna roast her so
Okay.
hard.
Anyway, since your girlfriend never watches, we can literally just talk about it. Talk
true,
about
man.
her and the fact that she doesn't watch the show.
Wow.
Anyway,
Terrible.
we love you. That being said, I'm trying to. This week, my goal is to then, and I've done this already with some of them, put them together and sort of. I already know it, but it's going to be tough to look at on paper. The ones that are in common bad and in common good, and deal with that. And I've already started, but those kinds of things are important to our growth. Sometimes, we're not always aware of, bad habits or traits or qualities that we've kind of picked up, and having people around you that you can trust to speak into, that they're not going to intentionally try to destroy you,
Right.
like emotionally, but or not going to feel. That love you enough to tell you the truth, even if some of it's hard.
Right.
So I've been really blessed by people's responses and encouragement in that. And
It's really good, man.
yeah. Met with some family members. So I don't think he watched the show. My dad, who lives out in the great state of Washington. So he came, you knew this, he stopped by last week.
That's
It was
right.
unexpected. And then I know that he got a hold of me and saying he's moving back in December. So that's been kind of interesting and different. He's been gone for a while, and we've sort of rekindled a relationship.
Which is awesome.
Again, yeah. I mean, we've never been, bad, but it's been cool to grow closer.
Yeah, just kind of get close again.
Yeah, and I know he's on his own journey. He's a believer now, and just really proud of him.
Very cool story.
Yeah, really proud of him. I was proud of him before, but it's been awesome to watch him bring all those traits God's given him now in the pursuit of his faith. Because he's got a great mind and is a leader and stuff. So that's cool. Same with my mom, man. I've had a lot of great conversations with my mom lately. So that's just been kind of neat to interact with, I guess, or deal with. And then weirdly, in that also, sort of worked out some hurts that my younger sister has. I have a 15, she's going to kill me. She's 15 or 16 now, I don't even know. Year-old sister who, had been hurt by me, and some of it was a miscommunication, or a lack thereof. So it was cool to be able to talk to her and sort of reconnect and work through that stuff, and to be different for her and let her see that, a different way. And she responded really awesome. So that was neat too. Just all happened in kind of a few weeks span, which is awesome.
Yeah, man, just blew up.
So that's been cool.
Fire
Of love.
Fire of love.
Power of love. I couldn't remember the words.
Yeah.
I think it's Huey Lewis. Huey Lewis in the News. Ever heard of that?
I have
From
heard
Back
that
to the
name,
Future.
but I don't.
Never heard of that?
I don't think so.
Yeah, only reason I know that's because it's on the movie Back to the Future.
Which I've never seen.
Cut. I'm just kidding.
Good cut.
Dude, if we read a list of the movies that you have not seen, I don't know how to get people to understand who you are. Okay? You have not seen the movie Aladdin by Disney.
It's true.
You have not seen the movie Lion King.
It's true.
You have, what's another big one here? You have not seen, I don't have it in front of me here, but, you've never seen Rudolph, the Red-Nosed Reindeer. You've never seen Charlie Brown. You've never seen Frosty the Snowman.
Not in its entirety. Nope, none of those. I've seen clips of them, but not all of it.
And by clips, you weren't watching the show. You might have seen a commercial here or there, right? You didn't actually go set out to ever watch those.
No.
Do you ever?
They were on the TV sometimes.
Do you ever sit back genuinely and go, "What was I doing?" Because some of these are legitimately. This is what there's certain movies and shows that, as children, we all have in common.
Yep.
Most of us.
Most, yeah.
And you have not seen any of them. Really? And it doesn't stop there. If production guy Blake was here, he could tell
Oh,
you.
he's got a whole list.
He never watches either, which, for all those when he comes back on someday, letting him know that he is a traitor.
Oh, absolutely.
And yeah, Clint gave a here with his Gatorade as he shivers under the blanket. Anyway.
Yeah, it's interesting, man.
Do you have those moments?
So,
or at least moments where you go,
the moments hit. Those moments hit me the most. I don't just sit and usually think about those, but they come when people are talking about one of those things, and like they're all like, "Yeah," I'm just sitting there going, "I don't know what they're talking about."
Do you ever wish that you had?
Sometimes I do, because I'm like, "Yeah, it'd be nice to be in this conversation or like be normal."
This leads to an okay. Well, I'm not normal. This leads to another thing we've never discussed. This is not on our show notes.
Or agenda.
Or anything of the sort. But Santa Claus. Do you guys believe at any point?
I did.
Nice. Awesome. I feel like I am in a place of just brotherhood. What I have learned is, particularly within the church today, a lot of Christians, I've heard two arguments. And I find, well, first of all, let me say, I'm a huge proponent of Santa Claus, and part of me still believes. All right? Because I've never truly tested.
Old Saint
I've
Nick.
never truly tested by just not getting a gift. And seeing if he comes or if I was naughty or nice. But frankly, I don't, I'm sure I wouldn't be nice enough. Here's the thing. I'm telling you this and I mean it.
Okay.
Santa Claus made childhood, Christmas time, so magical.
It's true, man.
That, do you remember the moments where you really believed?
Oh, yeah.
And did it not feel so magical?
Oh, it was insane.
And there are so many people, primarily within the church, like Christians. And a lot of you guys out there listening, I'd love to hear. Whether you're Christian or not, if you are in a place that you can write a comment, let us know. Hey, I believed in Santa, I didn't, and then the reason why you did, like your parents did not, or whatever. Because I was told this by a lot of Christian folk. Two reasons why. One is that it's some sort of evil, like Santa spells Satan, which I find to be ridiculous, and that it's like worshiping him above Jesus. No one in my family was Christian, so it didn't affect my view of Jesus, I'll tell you that.
Right, me
I did
either.
not think they were the same person. I did not think Santa was a god.
No, me either.
In fact, intrinsically, somehow I knew that he
Just a man.
was like a servant of Jesus. Because the Christmas specials with a star, and sometimes Santa would be bowing it. Even though I didn't know what that was, I'd be like, yeah, that's right, Santa. You're not God. But you are a powerful elf man. Anyway... Here's the thing. So that was one. The other one was, and this is from a good friend of mine who's having a kid, and he's like, already agreed with his wife, and it really saddens me. But he fought hard for Halloween, but gave in on this because he says, I'm pretty sure he said, I just don't feel right lying to my kids.
Man, I don't know.
What are your thoughts on that? Not judging anyone that does. By the way,
Right.
Genuinely, like, I respect, you're all welcome to your opinion. But for me, I'm being genuine that having Santa Claus as part of my Christmas made Christmas very magical.
It really did. Yeah, man. I don't know if you ever did this, but like your parents would like take you to go see Santa in his little house.
Sure, man.
And like you'd sit on his lap and be like, this is one for Christmas, dude. It was
I want you to understand, there were no gifts under my tree until Christmas morning.
Me too.
And it was the greatest, most magical thing I've ever seen in my life.
Especially because like stuff like I'd like come out and like stuff would be set up.
Yes.
And I'd be like, oh,
dude, and remember the lights on the wrapping paper.
Oh, yeah, man. It was.
I just, even to this day, if I go to my parents,
Yep.
when we have Christmas there was no presents under the tree. They're just magically there. I don't know who does it.
That's so awesome, dude.
My mom helps with Santa, she says. So
Yeah. I used to help Santa too.
I didn't. I just sit there and say, I don't care how old I am.
I got
I can't wait for Santa.
I got involved in the process.
Why?
It's my mom.
But you didn't have any younger Oh, your sister? Got you. All right, moving on.
Yep.
Anyway, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh,
It's
you're
just
fine.
magical.
Yeah, it is, man. And like, I guess for me, like, I would definitely have Santa involved in mine.
Me too.
Definitely, because like, I don't know, even if it's just it's a symbol of hope, like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
It is, man. There's something about it. And as a believer now, I get the idea of like, because I wasn't a believer, I want people to know the meaning of it, the Christmas story, the true, Jesus' birth,
Yeah,
the
man.
day that we. But here's the thing, they're gonna be together. Like one does not mean the other can't exist.
Absolutely, because I guess if I look at it as like lying, like from this person's perspective. Like, I don't want to lie to my kids.
Multiple people, yeah, I've heard multiple.
It's one of those things where I'm like, okay, because it makes me go like, I could just go in a lot of places with that, I guess.
Where else? Why is it okay here and not there?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, I could go into a lot of places, which I won't do that right now because it would be.
Yeah, we're not trying to start a debate.
Right.
But, I mean, I guess in a way we have been, but it's not the intention.
Yep. So, yeah, man, I love Christmas and I love like the idea of Santa. I think it's awesome. I think it gives kids hope for like, and it also just gives them like a reason to be good. Kids at that age need a reason to be good. You know, like, yes, Jesus. But when they're so young, man, sometimes it's hard for them to grasp the concept of Jesus. You know, you give them this jolly fella named Santa, man, just snaps them into being good. You know, it's pretty cool.
That's also true.
Yeah, like.
And I think it could be used even as a good segue to Jesus.
Oh, definitely.
You know? So, anyway, I don't think they have to be got really serious, but it is something I'm passionate about.
I love Santa
because a lot of times I feel like it goes the other way. I feel like I'm not judging them, but they're kind of subtly being like, Santa, you're a pagan. You're worshiping the Saint Nick. Is that what you're doing? You're worshiping Kris Kringle? You know what I mean? Like, why don't you just sacrifice to him?
Yeah, right.
Aren't you putting cookies out for him like a sacrifice?
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's weird.
I really committed to that voice.
You did. I liked it.
So yeah, I think I have probably gotten a little defensive over the years because I'm like, dude, clearly I love Jesus. They're not connected. I remember one guy that was so passionate about hating. This actually relates to an earlier episode of Real Talk. Do you remember the story I told you guys about a professor I had in seminary? Now, everybody that knows me knows I'm not judging this person. However, this person was one of the most judgmental people I've ever met in my life. And I don't mean in the like judging the church. He used to rant and rave about the evil of Christmas time and Santa and trees and the pagan culture. And then he went into Easter. Now, if you are, convicted by that, by some of what I'm about to say, it makes perfect sense. You should follow that. Corinthians says it.
Yeah.
But when you start to shame other people, then you're going exactly against what Paul said when he said, hey, you might be convicted about one thing that isn't directly spelled out. Like, you know, what kind of meat you eat, those kind of things.
Sure.
But he also raged against Easter because he said it had been merged with these pagan rituals, which I believe to a degree in the sense of like, there's an egg, and the holy egg was dedicated to Ishtar back in the day, and blah, 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 blah. And here's the thing, man. When I was painting eggs and going to hunt them and believing in an Easter rabbit, or Easter bunny, Easter rabbit, I wasn't worshiping Ishtar.
No.
Like, you know, or I was hunting eggs and eating them and getting candy.
That's right.
And so, you know, I think about that guy, and this is the guy, I guess I didn't finish, who got in trouble for racketeering. You remember this? Like, legitimately, like working with a gang, guilty of. Now, again, I'm not saying right whether it is or isn't, okay? But he was found guilty of this.
Yes.
And interesting story, though. We talked about that, about how now he is a practicing pastor.
Right.
And is accepted immediately. Because, you know, and in the big scheme of the world's eyes, like, what's worse? Someone who would have, for instance, you know, we always use sexual sin, right? Adultery, or a guy who literally was accused of coercion, racketeering, and intimidation, and threatening someone that they'll kill him if you don't give him money. Now, that's not. I'm not saying that's true. I'm saying I know that was some of the stuff that was accused.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And again, I'm all about it. I'm not questioning that he shouldn't be restored or given that opportunity because, believe it or not, I believe what I preach.
100%, man.
It's not so much that he shouldn't have been forgiven or anything. It's more of like the culture. In fact, it has nothing to do with him. It's just the culture of Christianity, of what we view as important sometimes.
Yep, it's odd.
I guess in a way it kind of shows how silly it is when they say someone else is like could never again.
It's like, how dare you believe in this bunny and how you're a pagan.
Well,
and
also,
but we'll take this guy over here who is.
Well, and also like let's say the adultering pastor or the sexual sin seems to be the big one, but. Or no, sometimes they say they're, too mean. I think of Mark Driscoll.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, you literally say this guy's disqualified. And in the scheme of the world's eyes. And they're like, well, we don't follow the world. Okay, the scheme of Christianity, what's worse? They're both terrible.
Right.
And that's the point, right? The point is sin.
Exactly.
So I don't know. Just interesting. Anyway, we've been all over the place. Moving on. My apologies.
It's been fun. I love it.
Yeah, Easter.
Yeah, Easter.
Not mocking people that are for that. I do understand, and if you feel called to that, you should.
Yes, but just don't tear others down because of it. So, moving on.
Sorry.
You want to go into questions?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. You want to start, or
Sure.
you want me to?
I sure can. All right. So, moving on to the question portion of the podcast/web series. Question 1. Why was God about to kill Moses in Exodus 4:24-26? If it's the circumcision thing, why would that make God want to kill Moses?
We actually answered this question before. Isn't that cool? By the way, I love it that you guys asked. I'm just saying it's cool that it shows people think.
Yeah, man.
All right, verses what?
It's Exodus 4:24 and 26. Talking about circumcision.
All right, so I think in order to do this, we need to go to the very beginning of, not the beginning of 4. So Exodus 4, starting at verse 18.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
all
It says
good,
this. Then Moses went back to his father-in-law Jethro and said to him, "Please let me return to my relatives in Egypt and see if they're still living." Jethro said to Moses, "Go in peace." Now in Midian, the Lord told Moses, "Return to Egypt, for all the men who wanted to kill you are dead." So God told him to.
Okay.
So Moses took his wife and sons, put them on a donkey, and set out for the land of Egypt. And Moses took God's staff in his hand. The Lord instructed Moses, "When you go back to Egypt, make sure you do in front of Pharaoh all the wonders I have put within your power. But I will harden his heart so that he won't let the people go." We'll get to that in a minute. "Then you will say to Pharaoh, 'This is what the Lord says. Israel's my firstborn son. I told you, let my son go so that he may worship me. But you refused to let him go. Now I will kill your firstborn son.'" On the trip at an overnight campsite, it happened that the Lord confronted him, being Moses, and sought to put him to death. So Zipporah took a flint, cut off her son's foreskin and threw it at Moses' feet, so she circumcised him. Then she said, "You are a bridegroom of blood to me," so he let him alone. At that time, she said, "You are a bridegroom of blood," referring to the circumcision. Well, that's an odd little tale there. The context, as we know, excuse me, is that, let my people go. This is that moment when God was kind of telling him, "Hey, now I need you to do what I told you to do. This is what you're going to say to him,"
Yeah.
et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So Moses was about to go back
Okay.
and lead the Israelites, God's people, right? Who had been living in bondage to pagans.
Right.
So if Moses had been told and was supposed to go back, free God's people, and then lead them and show them and teach them about the ways of God and to obey and all those things, it makes sense that he needed to be not a hypocrite. And he needed to be the good example
So
for
you
them
think
to
he was
follow.
being tested, kind of?
No, I think he had been rebellious. He knew what God told him to do. God did not circumcise him because remember, that was already given to the Israelites back with Abraham and all them, like the sign of the covenant. So even though it had been years past, we know that they knew that tradition. So why didn't Moses do it? Well, he married a woman that was not an Israelite. So, and that's why I said she did. So this is an important thing for men, by the way. Why didn't Moses do it? We know he didn't, right? It shows right here. We'll get to the question in a second. So Moses was raised to circumcise your son as a sign of the covenant.
Oh, did he not view his son as clean because of his wife?
Think of more human terms.
Fear?
Of what? You guys are overthinking it. Of what? Of his wife.
Oh.
Like, how many times we see it? Your wife doesn't want you to do something, no offense, men, no offense, ladies, and that guys cave because they don't want to fight. So he was married to, and this is why God told, not just him, many times later, he says, do not, in fact, he told him before, do not intermarry with these pagans.
Right.
Because their culture is going to infect you, and it's that much harder when it's your husband or wife.
Okay. Yeah, you're
So,
right. I was overthinking this.
No, I think you're right. There's fear in general.
Yeah.
But so he was for whatever reason, adopting her customs. Yes. But now you're going back to free God's people. You imagine that? We're going back to God, but you're not going to actually follow God's law.
Yeah.
So he was like, okay, your rebellion here, I can't use you. If you're not going to obey me, now it gets deep. Did God know what was going to happen?
Yes.
Now this is where it gets real weird. So he knew this rebellion. Did he know that that all this would happen?
Yes.
Now here is where it gets really deep. So if we can admit, and it's interesting that it mentioned the wife. who was probably the one. So Moses probably did want to circumcise. He was still going to hold Moses accountable. Good answer for men out there. A good little lesson. Even if you say your wife's the reason you did it, God holds you responsible, just like He did Adam. You can't say you want the crown, the authority, the respect of being a leader in the home, and then blame the wife, because God holds you responsible. All right, for the home. Anyway, it's interesting that God did not only got Moses to, but the wife on board.
Right.
That makes
Which
sense.
is insane.
So, does that answer the question?
I think it does. Yeah.
The main reason, simplified, it was very serious, because think of it in purity wise. If God is going to have someone lead His people out of there, that leader needed to be obedient, righteous in God's sight, etc. Well, why does circumcision matter? It's not about the act of circumcision. It's why today you don't have to be circumcised to be in the covenant. In fact, Paul says that, doesn't he? He says, circumcised and uncircumcised alike, we're all the same in Christ. But it was, if you can't obey God in the little fleshly thing, are you going to obey Him in the big things?
No.
And the thing people forget about the Old Testament is God was meeting people, humanity, in some of their darkest places. So He had to, in His mercy, He was kind of meeting them in the ways they would understand. It's not that like the flesh and all that was meaning circumcision saved you or any of these things. He was trying to get them to understand in the culture and language they were used to. They understood the concepts of sacrifice. They understood the concepts of rituals.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, man, absolutely. That's good. For some reason, my mind was not clicking with the fact that his wife was like pagan. So for some reason, I was going, "Oh, that makes sense now."
I guess you didn't know that necessarily in the context of. I knew that because I knew the story.
Right.
Too,
so
his wife was
that makes a lot more sense that he was just fearful because
remember
of
he
her
ran
customs.
off. He ran off because he killed that dude.
Jeez.
Remember that he murdered him. That's another thing. Moses murdered a guy.
That's freaking. I actually don't know if Moses' story very well.
If you go read it, it's pretty interesting.
I really should.
Yeah, it's not. Everybody just sticks with the part where let my people go in the commandments. There's a lot of crazy stuff in between, especially when you. So I'm so sorry, guys, to coughing like that. My allergies, but it really shows you what we talked about. These people we set on pedestals. When you read everything in between the big moments of faith, they were human and did human things.
Right. The biggest thing I always remember from Moses is how he didn't want to. God was like, "You need to do this." He's like, "No, I don't want to." He's like, "I can't speak well."
You're gonna do whatever.
That's right. He's just using like the little excuses. Yeah, man. So that's cool. Well, that taught me something because I was not informed on that. So that's really cool, dude. Heck yeah. Nice. You are up a good silver.
Well, sorry.
Oh, you're all right, dude.
I got a message from old Grant.
Oh, hey, Kenny G. Cowboy Kenny. I hope you watch this because I don't know if you do either. Do you think Kenny G watches this show?
Not a chance.
Not a chance.
All right, moving on. We haven't even got to the next question. Here we go. I gotta move.
Gotta move.
All right. Next question, as I clearly was prepared. Man, oh, here we go. All right.
We got a good tradition here, being prepared.
The rainbow is God's promise to us to never destroy the world by flood again. So how do you think it became, quote, or a, quote, symbol, end quote, for the LGBTQ community? Do you think it was premeditated as a direct attack on God?
Well, I didn't even know that, for one.
With the rainbow?
Yeah.
Yeah, the rainbow appeared and he said, "This is my promise to you that I will never again destroy this earth with flood."
Wow. How do I not know these?
Yeah, you got to
things,
read the
man?
Old Testament sometimes. I get it, man. I don't read it as much as I do the New
Wow.
for real.
I did not even know that. That's really freaking cool.
So it is interesting. That
Yes, it is. That is very interesting. I think that's like almost like a. It does feel like almost like a direct attack on God. Like, when I think of like, Satan, and I think about like what he's capable of, like why would he not use that? That's like a direct like spit in the face of God. Like, look at this. I'm going to take your symbolism and I'm going to make it used against you.
Well, yeah, exactly. And now the way we were all raised, when you see a rainbow symbol,
You don't think of God.
You never think of God.
No, which is crazy.
So yeah, man. So you think it definitely?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, people meant that. That's not even meaning the people who came up with it initially were thinking that.
Right. No, that's something planted. Like
Yeah,
that
but they
is something
could
that
have.
is-
Also,
exactly.
we don't know. I mean, whether it was intended or not, it's definitely that's what it is.
It was
That's
all
what it is.
sin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that.
Pretty powerful stuff.
Yeah, dude. Damn.
I'm so sorry to cough, guys. My allergies are out of control.
Oh, that's all right.
And I didn't take any medicine until literally the show was about to start. So now it's all going.
Yeah, just draining.
Yeah. That sound,
I
man.
did.
You're up.
All right, next question. This is in Mark 12:28. It mentions teachers of the law and Sadducees. What's the difference between the two? I have always thought they were the same and actually just caught they were different. So they're asking for the difference between teachers of the law and Sadducees. And they used reference Mark 12:28.
Well, can you pull that up?
Sure. I'm going to pull up my Bible app real quick. So the difference between Sadducees and teachers of the law.
No, not that. Oh, you're looking at the verse, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe if I can find it here. Mark 12:28. I'm going to read it from ESV. It says, and one of the scribes came up and heard them disputing with one another, and seeing what he answered them well, asked him, "Which commandment is the most important of all?"
That's it. Say it again.
It was, and one of the scribes came up and heard them disputing with one another, and seeing that he answered them well, asked him, "Which commandment is the most important of all?"
Okay, and I like that you said here it says scribes, right?
Yep. So yeah, I'm not really sure because they're asking for the difference between Sadducees and teachers of the law.
Yeah. So.
So yeah, I'm not really understanding how
Well, probably because a different version. Maybe check the ESV and see if it says teacher's law or the NIV.
Okay, I'll try NIV. That one was ESV, so let me try NIV. It says NIV says one of the teachers of the law came and heard them debating. Noticing that Jesus had given them a good answer, he asked him, "Of all the commandments, which is the most important?"
Okay. Does it say teachers of the law? Yeah.
Okay.
So the bottom line was this: they're all sects within Judaism at this time. Different
Okay.
kind of roles. You say you had the Sadducees, the Pharisees, most of the time, and then you have scribes. That's what they kind of meant by teachers of their law. These are the people who wrote and copied them down. Most of the time at this point, the scribes came from the Pharisee branch, but not always, and that's why you kind of see both, both at the time.
Yeah.
Like they're still differentiated because not always were they the same thing.
Right.
So bottom line was, if you were to put it on paper, between the Sadducees and Pharisees, there were kind of religious sects within Judaism at this time, sort of groups. This is interesting, by the way. Sadducees believed in a literal interpretation of every single word of the Bible. The Pharisees gave oral authority, like teaching to the mouth, and the same as written down. That's just one of the main beliefs. They had other things too, like as far as literal interpretation of, like, whether or not we come back in the flesh, those kinds of things.
Okay.
The scribes were people, when they wrote that down, whether they were that's the difference in general.
Okay.
Which you could leave it there. Scribes, though, whichever branch they came from, were really important because, again, who's writing down what the law is? They copy the scripture and all that kind of stuff. Even counting, like, and I knew this before, they would actually count, like, the spaces between the periods. Every mark that would be on the thing they copied from, they would do that exact mark.
Wow. Mm-hmm. So that. Wow.
And so, what's terrifying, though, too, about this is that they would also begin to add man-made laws to God's laws.
Into it. Oh, man, that's terrifying.
Right? Partially, if you think about it, that's why most of the time it came from the Pharisees, because the Pharisees would then be adding that oral tradition to the written. So either way, all of them they had put the religion above the heart of God. And that's why God is constantly arguing with them.
It's very interesting.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Cool. Sorry it took so long.
It was cool to learn, man. This is a very
great question.
Informational episode for me.
So I hear a lot. Did we do the one about going down the river? We didn't. We talked about before.
We talked about it before, yeah.
So I hear a lot of Christian songs talking about, quote, going down to the river, end quote. Where does that come from?
I would imagine they're talking about just the baptism, like, in the Jordan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're right on.
With John the Baptist.
Yep. And then Jesus, like he's saying, being baptized. Yeah, I agree with you. It's a symbolism, I think, of being saved.
Yep. Down to the river.
Being washed clean. Yeah. It's good. Nice job. That sounded pretty good.
Thanks, man. It felt good.
You're up. I think, right?
Yes. What does it mean in let's see here. What does it mean in Psalms 12:6 that his word is like silver heated 7 times in a fiery furnace?
Without even looking at it, I could tell you what Psalm what?
12:6.
I always like to, guys, the reason we pull this up every time is it's so important when you're reading the Bible, and we just want to model that, to look at the entirety of the section and the book that you're looking at.
Right.
You don't, because if you just pick out one sentence, that's how things seem to, quote, conflict, right?
Yes.
It doesn't. The Bible is completely perfect. It backs itself up. It does not contradict itself when written and read in the context that it gives.
That's right, man. Context.
So what verse?
12:6.
Okay. I will put he says, the words of the Lord are pure words, like silver refined in an earthen furnace, purified 7 times. So earth, silver and gold, we know both, right? How do you purify gold? When you get gold and silver from the earth, it's made in the earth, right? What's mixed in with it? Dirt,
right,
impurities.
Exactly.
So even today, how do you get pure silver?
You got to heat it up.
You heat it. So what is it? So when you heat it, you have silver that's more pure than it was before. So if you were to do it 7 times,
it's refined by fire.
P.S. Remember in the Bible, 7 typically refers to complete, final, right? Perfect. So essentially, it's the symbolism that God's word is perfect, it's pure, and then in the context, if you apply that to your life and follow Him, you won't be in these situations.
That's really cool, man. I like the symbolism behind that. That's really cool.
Spoke to them in a way they understood.
Yes.
They would have been like, "Man, that's really pure."
That's right. 7 times. I only do 5.
Yeah, exactly. That's good.
Heck yeah.
You're up, man.
It says, "Remnant dudes, I am back. Appreciate you, dudes. Jesus is Lord. Amen."
Yeah, Remnant Dudes guy.
Hey.
We love you, brother. I'm glad you're back.
Much.
We appreciate you too. Speaking of that, I guess I should just go right into his
next one.
He dropped one in after.
Nice. Remnant dudes guy.
He
is
said,
back.
"Remnant Dudes, Clint, you're in this one, buddy." He's not
Nice.
paying attention, so I got him. He's probably there puking in the corner. New guy puking in the corner. Anyway, Remnant Dudes, you're all looking fit and trim. That includes you, Clint. How do you witness Jesus to a stranger? Do you have some helpful suggestions? Thanks, dudes. You guys are so cool. Love this guy.
I love you.
First off, in the midst, he just first starts with a compliment, which I'm so thankful for, and then weaves his question in. So thank you so much, truly. So Clint, he even specifically said, "Hey, all you guys look fit and trim," which is a clue, Remnant Dudes guy, that you've personally seen us. We're on to you.
Interesting.
Anyway, love that guy. Thank you so much.
Do you ever think that people think we're the Remnant dudes guy?
Just talking about ourselves? No, because I know for a fact he exists outside of us.
He does. He has to.
Thank you. We love you, Remnant Dudes guy. We truly do. Because we know who he is, and we love him a lot.
Oh, yeah.
You're up. Found out recently. You have something to say, Clint, about being fit and trim? You started to, and then we're going to puke.
No. Thank you. Thank you. I've worked very, very hard, even though I've started to go backslide a little bit, but I've still worked very, very hard to get here.
You have, man. Everybody did. And now we're all trying to avoid going back.
It's true, man.
Man, that University of Cincinnati football running program we all did really did. We talked about this yesterday.
It really whipped us into shape.
It was terrible.
A shape I've never been in.
We're still starting to do it again. We're going to do it tonight, supposedly.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. We've done this now multiple times. We went all the way through P90X during quarantine.
Yep.
So we get in this, for us, fantastic shape.
Yes.
And then we go, okay, we finished. And then slowly, we get, but we're shaping. And we have to do some crazy, horrible program to get back.
It's true.
Instead of consistently staying in that.
Uh-huh.
It really makes it. One thing I've realized that it gives me a whole new respect for elite athletes.
You do it all the time?
Yes.
Have you seen them in the off season? Oh, because they do that.
Exactly,
Yeah.
because I've realized even just with like a normal body like mine that as soon as you lay off, man, your body does go back. It starts to betray you. It immediately starts to go back to its old ways. So those guys are just constantly grinding, bro. It's crazy to me. So it's man. It's an eye opener for me and gives me it definitely gave me a new respect for athletes, man. It's crazy.
Yeah. Now that's us. We just don't get paid for it. It's not elite.
That's true.
No,
Man.
I'm just kidding.
No,
Here we go. Why is my laugh so dumb?
it's not.
All right.
It's not.
I'm up now. Oh, yes, you're up.
That
don't have any
that
more.
was
Okay, I
all
got
mine.
more.
Yep. I guess he asked how we witness to people.
Oh, yeah. Good point. Yes, so you're up. How do you witness Jesus to a stranger? Do you have any helpful suggestions?
This is a place where I flip-flop a lot. I have moments where I'm really good at this, and I have moments where I am absolutely terrible at this. In the times where I feel like I do well, I don't initially just dive into faith and where they're at. I try to make myself relatable to them. I want them to see that I am no different than them besides Jesus, but they don't even know that yet. I want them to see that like this guy is cool, but there's something different, and I try to find that in being relatable and having conversations that maybe they wouldn't expect a Christian to have, or being relatable in the sense of even just culture. I try to do that, and then once I can establish that, that's when I'll ask, where are you at with God? Or, what do you think about God? And then I can tell them, hey, like I am a Christian, and this is the truth, and that's where so that's kind of where I try to land. That's where I try to go, I guess.
It's good. Fun turn. You got anything on that?
I kind of do the same thing. I just ask a lot of questions. Whenever I have those discussions at work, it just leads off from small little questions and crazy conversations into that. So.
I actually think this is a cool story. So I'm going to say something, and I want to come back. I'll give my thoughts.
Okay.
And actually, something Clint shared with me last night, he thinks I wasn't listening, but I did, really impacted me. And I wanted to encourage him on. I was just doing 50 things. So I try to do everything you guys did. I think it's true. Like, don't pretend to be something you're not. Certainly don't pretend to be holier than thou.
Yeah.
People can sense that. When I look at the Bible and how people told people the gospel, you may have seen this triangle before. We've used it in our classes, but you take your story, where your story and God's story meet, and you use it to connect to their story. So, for instance, you see that all throughout both the Gospels and then Acts.
Yeah.
As far as like when they met a certain person, they'd be like, "Oh, you're doing this," or you look at this. I think of Paul on Mars Hill, Hey, he pointed this pagan hill, and he pointed to this. They were so afraid that they'd anger there was some god they were not worshiping. And so they made this one little altar, this pillar to the unknown God, just in case. And so he came up there, and so many people now would like shame a Christian for this. And he pointed, goes, "Hey, you know that right there? The unknown God, I'm about to tell you who he is." And so he met him where he was and then told them, right?
That's freaking awesome.
So trying to meet, I love that you guys said that, because I think that's what you do. However, the other thing I think that nowadays, it's almost like there's two extremes. On the one hand, you've got the people that come up and they just start by going with the signs that say you're going to hell.
Yep.
Which is true, right? Without Jesus.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that doesn't work sometimes. That's better than doing nothing, as long as you mention the hope in Jesus.
Right.
Not like going up to a gay pride parade and just saying you're going to hell. There's no use in that, because you haven't where's the rest of it? If you're going to do something like that, you should at least put on the other side, but Jesus can save you right where you are.
Right.
Jesus loves you, right? Something like
There's
that.
There's got to be a redemption. Yeah.
Because that gives them no hope. And then, of course, you're going to be defensive, because you're telling me I'm going to hell and there's no way to stop. And they already don't think that there's a way to not be what they are, for instance, right?
Yep.
Anyway, it's just a side note. So you got that extreme. And then the other side of it is, well, I'm just going to be Jesus, but I'm not going to actually tell them the name Jesus, and then they'll ask me, and then I'll get to know them. And then they quote that comment by Mother Teresa, which is a good quote, but her context didn't mean that either. It just meant live it, where she said, preach the gospel, and if necessary, use words. And what she really meant was just live your life in such a way that people notice a difference. And that should be true, right?
Absolutely.
Be a light, salt of the earth. Jesus talks about that. But there's also, you need to tell them.
Yes.
What is the gospel? It wasn't until I went to that play I've told you guys about at 17 or whatever, 16 or 17, and I saw someone explain it to me in a play form that I even understood it. I understood the idea of like, God, Jesus is good. I'm going to hell. Like, I'm actually not even that. Everyone that wasn't, and then I thought Christians were all fake. Like, nobody told me that they were the same as me but Jesus.
Right.
So you've got to be bold enough to enter into those conversations. Because I think what stops a lot of good-hearted Christians is they're like, well, I don't want to offend them or drive them away, because then I have no relationship. Well, that's fine. But would you do that if your friend was about to shoot themselves in the head? You'd be like, I would tell them to stop, but I don't want to offend them. No, it's
Right.
going to kill them. So why wouldn't you think of it the same way with eternal life? Or poison, if they were taking poison and they were pretending it wasn't poison, you knew it was, would you not tell them, hey,
Oh man.
that's the truth is that's poison? You wouldn't go, like, are you sure you want a banana? You'd go, that
Yes.
banana is poison. Stop eating it.
Yep.
So when it comes to the gospel, there's a certain point in a relationship when it does come out. And I do believe God, if we're open to that and pray and look for it, that the Holy Spirit will give us those moments, because the Bible says that, right? Don't worry about what you'll say. Now, he's talking about in front of authorities, but it's the same thing. When you get in front of people, the Spirit will give you the words to say. And I believe that. And, it's always going to sound offensive to people.
Yep.
You can't assume, even by their initial response, of what the long-term effects of that seed is going to be. Your job, you chuck the seed, right? Parable of the sower in a way. We can't control whether it grows.
That's right.
So I think of Clint, he's been talking at work to the point at times, people try to even kind of not sort of subtly threaten his job. And I know he probably thinks no one's listening. Some of the people that are even aggressive with him.
Yeah.
Well, a lady told him last night, and I don't want to make him talk just because he's sick, but he flat out said after all this bad stuff happened that she actually goes, well, and I actually thought the story was going to end with her like being, I hate it.
Just a jerk, right?
And did you hear this part?
Yeah,
And she's
man,
like, hey, this Jesus you're talking about who loves me where I'm at, that's the only thing keeping me going. And you're kind of
right.
like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's powerful, man.
It is.
And for Clint, as he's back there, something for him to think is like, what do you do now? What's the next conversation? Okay, you said that this affected you, keeps you going. Why? For you, why?
Yep.
And then, the idea that I'm loved. Okay, well, what do you respond to that? You're already acknowledging that it's real to a degree.
Oh yeah.
What's your response want to be? Because quit worrying about what you are afraid of. So I just think it's really cool for him to live that out, because when he just told me that, I believe him, because he's doing it
Yes.
in a place that's really scary, which is work.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, I think you got to just boldly tell people. But I also think letting people know how he changed your life. Because Paul did that all
It's
the time,
so
right?
powerful.
Paul did that.
Yes.
Hey, I was a murderer. I killed his people, and then I was the worst of sinners, and then he came and saved me.
Yep.
So do we do that? I'm convicted.
Me too.
I mean, I do it, but do I like to talk to people in even my family? Because you
No.
think they won't listen, right? They're not gonna
You're
hear
right. Or they're just there's no point.
Mm-hmm.
It is. It's so convicting, man, because I can think of people or moments in my life where I have done that, and it has changed people. Like people have responded through that, and it's like, dang it, man.
you. For me, you came to sermons, man, but I think it was conversations we had.
Yeah, you're right. The conversations we had early
Because
on.
you had been in the sermons, I wasn't doing it fully at times, right? Like you were feeling called, but you still, I don't even remember when you consider the moment you were saved.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember?
I remember when
Knowing now that was there a time you prayed that prayer?
there was a time when I knew that what I was doing in my life I couldn't do anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just knew that I was like, okay, this is real to me now, and I can't just sit idly by and keep doing what I'm doing. I can't do it. It's literally affecting me. I can't. I feel a weight now. Like I remember that weight of like guilt of like I can't keep living like this.
Conviction, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that wasn't just from like, hey, you're awesome. It was from true preaching of the gospel.
Yes, it was from like like I know I'm living wrong. Like I
And
can't.
what's going to happen if you continue.
That's right. If this is real and I'm doing this, man, I know where I'm going.
Yeah.
And
the evidence in your life, like you said, of like there's something more. Anyway,
Yes.
great question. I'm sorry we went on a long time.
No,
Or I
it's
did anyway.
It's good stuff, man.
You guys have anything else on that?
No, it's beautifully said.
Love your heart. All right. What has been one encouraging thing you have seen in your own life and one encouraging thing you have seen in your church?
Encouraging thing in my life. Man, just where I'm at, honestly. Like, I can look back on my life and I can see that the path I was going down, man, I was bound to be, empty, constantly sad and depressed, probably, would have to constantly kind of fight that battle of like life is hopeless, there's no use in this, and I think that would have eventually led to like feelings of like suicide, like wanting to die, which I honestly had gotten there for a minute. I had kind of reached that point at one point.
I don't even think I knew that about your story, but anyway.
And honestly, I don't know where I would even be. There's parts of me that think I probably would have ended up somehow homeless because, you know, I was so irresponsible and like just wasn't prepared for life. And like, I don't know, man. And it's cool because where I am now, like I have a long way to go and there's a lot more steps I have to take in my journey, but I am so much farther along than I was. And I have a true understanding of life now. And like, you know, there's purpose in everything. I used to think that my life was meaningless. And now I know there's a purpose in everything, even if I don't want to accept it at times. I know there is. And that's, you know, that's incredible. That's a complete flip, man. It's 180. And as far as this church, man, I've seen people's lives change. I've seen the same change that I had in others. You know, I've seen people's perspectives just change. I've seen it in their eyes, man. I've seen it in the way they act. You know, I've seen them want to take those parts of themselves that they had fully accepted and they didn't want it anymore. You know, I've seen them want to just keep sinning, and I've seen them go from that to I don't want to sin anymore. Like it's just beautiful, man. It's powerful. Like, you know, that's what I've seen here.
Now, just in case, I love that. I didn't even think of it that way. What about recently? Just in case they mean even recently. Like, what's one thing in your life that's been encouraging? Like, yeah, that's your overall, but like recently in your life, and then one thing in this church recently.
Okay, so recently,
just in case, because I don't.
Recently in my life, you know, I've seen that God is still here. God is still with me, even if I have betrayed Him, even if I have, you know, spat in His face over and over again. And I have not wanted to follow Him, and I've wanted to just lay down and just stay there. He is still there. He has not moved an inch. You know, even if I was trying to retract and trying to crawl away, He was not letting me. So that's a big one.
It's powerful, actually.
And then for this church, man, recently, like, gosh, man, just the radical truth this place brings, man. Like, our people are special in the fact that, like, we can struggle with our faith and wanting to live it out, but people are still willing to hear it. And even if we're not always in the moment willing to face that truth, man, I think we work our way there. And that's what makes us who we are. You know, sometimes we don't want to face that mirror and that truth of what Jesus really wants to take from us, that freedom that He's trying to give us that we don't want to face, man. And I think recently our church is showing, like, you know what, man, like, there are parts of us we don't want to face, but we're trying, you know. And I think that is special.
Powerful, dude.
That is special, because I think a lot of people don't ever even want to face that. They don't even want to think about it. And I think that we were open to the idea of there is more. And now that we're being faced with, yeah, man, there is more to your life as individuals. Like, there's darkness that you did not see. I think people are willing to bring it to the light. They, you know, and they're really trying to.
And what do you think the more, like, what's the importance of that? I guess, why is that so, it's encouraging to you, I guess, because they're brave and willing to do that.
Yes. Yeah. It's encouraging to me because I know, like, man, like, this is real. Like, people are living out the faith that they claim, you know? Because I think a lot of people, and again, this doesn't mean everyone's perfect, but, you know, a lot of people, when faced with this reality of, man, like, I thought I was following, but maybe I'm not. They're just either going to crumble or they're just going to deny, and just stay where they're at. And I don't think we're doing that, you know? And again, I'm not saying we've all arrived, because we haven't. But, you know, I think there's a lot of us that are at least willing to try to look, and we do look. So, does that make sense? Yeah.
That's good, man. A fun turn. I don't want to make you if you're not feeling. He's not feeling good. Okay. He goes, no. He's about to pass out. Okay, hold it in, buddy. So one encouraging thing in your own life and one encouraging thing you've seen in your church. Man. I guess the encouraging thing is kind of God moving in my family to kind of restore some of my family.
Yeah, man.
Which I didn't really put all of it together until I told you today.
Pretty cool.
So we'll see. That's been kind of encouraging. You know, that God's always moving, man, in people's lives. He really is. He's always calling us, always trying to, you know, answers prayers. It's just, It's been neat. Encouraging thing in this church. This church does things. This is going to sound crazy. This church does things in such a radical way in the sense of biblically, that you see how weird it looks. Okay? I'm serious. So like our member meetings. We have member meetings, right? Membership is just, it's a commitment to, in the New Testament. We don't even, there would have been no indication that those people didn't go to the same church all the time. Paul knew that, or he wouldn't say, how can an elder be held, or an overseer be held responsible for them if they don't see them all the time and teach them, right? The same people. So it's just a way for us in our modern culture. We just had some new members come, a lot. And to sit there, man, for 2 hours, when typically, member meetings are pretty businessy. Come in, do your thing, blah, 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 move on. And ours is more of a family meeting, man. And I know it sounds hokey. I know. Guarantee there's some Christian out there listening, or maybe not. It's like, this sounds like a cult. You're right. That's the weird part about it, is it's in the sense that it's so different, we got to go over finances and all those things, business, but we just talk about it, and we take seriously people joining that community in a real way and ask
things out.
Yeah, it's encouraging, but also feels weird. So I just think that's neat, man. And that when things get hard, I can't really say this, I guess, but this is a kind of church. I think this is okay if I don't say it anymore. Where a married couple who's having some problems and are separating, biting your fingers. I don't know why I'm whispering it. You told us this major stuff. Where a married couple comes before members who we've been here for years and says, "Hi, we're going to separate for a while, and we just want to tell you that from our own lips, and we want you to know that we're both committed to staying here, and we want you guys, meaning our church body, we want you guys involved in this, holding us accountable, helping us through this, and we want you to know." That doesn't happen.
I was about
we're
to say,
both of them together.
I was about to say, tell me what place that happens at.
So just crazy, man. And it feels uncomfortable at times.
Yes.
So, but it's encouraging.
Yes. It's so
and
good.
People's faith, right? It pushes you.
I'm glad you brought that up, because you're right. I don't think that happens much anywhere else, man. It really doesn't. Not to toot our own horn or anything, but dude, that is special. That's incredible. You probably won't even see that in a lot of worldly places.
Oh no.
And that's why I know, man, God is moving in our people, man, because
Amen.
For a whole room of people to be in support of that's wild. It's so cool. So, I agree.
All right. That's a great question. I got one more for you, buddy. We might as well finish him. Let's
do it, man.
We went through them today.
That's probably, 8 or 9?
10. I think it's going to be 10 by the end.
Yeah, man, we're killing it.
Nope, 9. Good call. Wow. It's impressive of you to remember that.
Thank you.
How you did that.
I was kind of a guest.
You're a savant.
I used to win guessing competitions for the amount of
Did you really?
M&Ms in a jar all the time. I'd get within 2 or 3.
What if you're a math genius and you never knew it and you just assumed it's
hate
just
math.
guessing?
Yeah, it's
Or a
true.
numbers genius. Anyway, do you think the Sadducees in Mark 12:19 were being passive aggressive by calling Jesus teacher? I've got it pulled up for you, buddy.
Okay.
That's what I'm doing on my phone sometimes, guys. I'm not ignoring him.
That's
it
right.
says, I'll start at 18. Some Sadducees who say there is no resurrection came to him and questioned him. So some Sadducees who say there is no resurrection came to him and questioned him. And then here's verse 19.
Okay.
Teacher, Moses wrote for us that if a man's brother dies, leaves his wife behind, and leaves no child, his offspring should take the wife and produce offspring for his brother. There were 7 brothers. The first took a wife and died and left no offspring. The second also took her, and he died, leaving no offspring. And the third likewise. So the 7 left no offspring. Last of all, the woman died too. In the resurrection, when they rise, whose wife will she be, since the 7 had married her? And then Jesus told them, are you not deceived because you don't know the scriptures or the power of God? For when they rise from the dead, they neither marry nor are given in marriage, but are like angels in heaven, in the sense that they don't marry. Now concerning the dead being raised, haven't you read in the book of Moses in the passage about the burning bush, how God spoke to him, I am the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. He is not God of the dead, but of the living. You are badly deceived. So, Sadducees, who we know right now don't believe in a resurrection, came and gave him this hard question about, resurrection exists. So, teacher, so he's saying, do you think they were being passive aggressive when they called him teacher?
Yeah, absolutely. I think they were trying to trap him. They were trying to get him to say something that would allow them to accuse him of being false.
Yep, and I think by using teacher, because remember at this time he was pretty popular. People were recognizing him and calling him. They were trying to show the people, oh, I'm coming here in good faith.
Yeah,
my teacher, right? Because everyone around, and they were afraid of him, the crowd around him for a while. So before they turned everyone, so Yeah, I agree. I think they were being
Definitely.
passive aggressive.
Oh yeah.
That's it. I
Cool.
think we're done, man. How long has this been going on, Fun Turn? You're about out of control.
1 hour and 3 minutes.
Yeah, we should probably end. We'll talk about the other stuff later.
All right, sounds
Guys, we keep telling you there's a bonus episode coming out, and frankly, at this point, I've just become a complete liar to you in all ways. So, just kidding. I'm not trying to lie to you. And the reason I'm bringing this up is I was saying, oh, we could do that in the next episode, that we're going to do bonus, but it never happens. So, we're looking to do a bonus episode. I hope we do.
Yes.
We're gonna make it happen.
Yes, I just didn't want to be the one to say it this time.
We're gonna make it happen.
So yeah, we have some cool stuff we want to talk about going on in life today, including some stuff that came from the World Economic Forum that's been meeting this week that I think is pretty interesting for people to understand and know.
Absolutely.
You know, some real things going on out there, guys.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do with that? Tempted to just go, but we'll wait.
All right.
Yeah, that's all I got, man. What do you got?
Cool. Well, first off, just thank you guys so much for watching this episode. Man, 140 episodes, man. That's crazy. 10
Wow.
away from 150. It's crazy to look back and see how far we've come in all this. It's insane. So thank you guys so much for sticking around. If you've been one of the OG listeners, listening from episode 1, thank you so much. That's so cool that you guys have been willing to listen to us every week for so long.
Ooh, I would love to know, has anyone out there that's listening now listened to every single episode?
Oh, that's cool.
If you have, actually, I'm serious about this, and I trust our crowd. If you have, and you're listening via, Facebook or YouTube or Rumble, and we can see you, write that in there. Hey, I've watched every one. Let us know. If you're not, and you're listening from the podcast, shoot that into the message using the link www.theremnant.life/real-talk. We want to send you guys a gift.
Absolutely.
I'm serious. So we're
That's
trusting
so cool.
you. We're trusting you. You're not going to lie to us.
Yes,
But if you
honor.
have watched, whether you were along for the whole ride, because I think it's just as cool that if you came in midway, you went all the way back and listened to them.
Oh, that's insane.
Man, I would love to know. That's crazy because I know how the first one was.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you don't even have all of them on podcast format, I assume.
Oh, that's right. I think we're missing like 10. It's
So if
really
you've
close.
watched every single one of the ones on podcast format, that would count. If you're,
Oh, yeah.
especially if that's the only one the way you've heard. But I would really be curious too if anyone has literally listened to 140 of them.
It's insane. If
Counting
you
this
have.
one. Let me know. Drop in the comments below because you guys deserve a shout out. Whether you're from a different state, country, whatever.
Oh, absolutely.
I would love to know.
Sweet.
Cool.
You guys heard it. Comment, shoot it in the database, whatever you got to do.
Yep. Using the link www.theremnant.life/real-talk.
And if you're watching this video from Facebook, go ahead and give us a like if you haven't already. And if you want, please share this if it's impacted you. Give it a little blurb at the top so people will actually look at it. And if you're watching from YouTube, holy cow, I almost blanked there for a second. If you're watching from YouTube, go ahead and hit that subscribe button with the notification bell. Why? So you'll get notified when we post and you can be one of the first people to watch it. And if you're watching from Rumble, give us a Rumble, #RumbleJumble. Love you guys.
You got anything? Sick guy? Fun Turn loves you. He's just terrible. So honestly, pray for that. Pray for him.
Absolutely.
I can actually attest to this. I came in today and I looked at him. He walked in. I said, "You look terrible."
It's true.
So I do really feel for him. We love you, man. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for being a
Hope
part
you
of
feel
this.
better. And I know he loves you guys a lot. Gives a lot of time. So hey, they already said it. We love you. Appreciative. I'm excited to see. If you haven't watched all of them, let me know how many you've listened to. Maybe there's no one. I'd love to know.
Yeah.
If there's people out there who have listened to 100, 120, whatever. 4. That's all.
4.
So I mean,
New listener.
We're kidding about 4, but I mean, if you're one of those people that you're like, man, I haven't listened to everyone, but I've listened to this many, and it's pretty significant. I'd love to hear. We are so thankful that you guys give us an opportunity and a platform because all of the different social media platforms we put this on, they're not really what props us up. Because if there wasn't a group of you out there who interact with us, send great questions, watch, man, we wouldn't do this.
That's
so
right.
You do this. Every time you view the show, you help support the show. Every time you've donated the show, there's some people out there, and we're going to do that too. I know we've had some long-term financial sponsors, and I think we're going to thank you guys too in a special way.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to get a really cool gift. I've already thought of that. And I meant to do that a few weeks ago, and I haven't. I know there's been probably 4 to 5 people who have given consistently. I don't even know if you know that.
That's
who've
wild.
who to this day still give every week towards Real Talk.
So freaking
So
cool.
we thank you guys so much for your support, for your encouragement, for your love, all those things.
Absolutely.
That's it. Pray for us. We're going to try to run again. Get back into it.
It'd be a
Stick
venture.
around this week. I don't know. I think it's really important. I'm excited about the bonus episodes. We have the Revelation episode. We have this one where we want to kind of talk about what's going on in life. I think it's important you guys are up to date. What we found is a lot of people our age, and honestly in the demographic, whatever age, meaning the types of people that watch our show, they don't necessarily know this stuff. And this is not conspiracy. These are factual things you can look up and just what that means for your life. And you should know.
Oh, yeah.
So we're excited to talk about that. And whether that means we just do a podcast of it, maybe we don't, a video, whatever, we'll get with you guys. We also have some exciting news to tell you if you're a fan of Real Talk. There are rumblings, internal discussions, possibilities that Real Talk Live will return in a little bit different way, and it'll be sort of seasonally in the wintertime when people are actually around at night.
That's right. Seasonal live.
If you would love to see Real Talk Live come back, it won't be every week, but whether it's bi-weekly, whether it's after AJ chews his fingers off, because he won't stop. Just kidding. Whether it's bi-weekly or monthly, but we've been asked about that, and I think that's kind of a cool idea. So if that comes back, that'll be cool too.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely, man.
All right, that's it. That's all I got. If you did want to donate to the show, we would really appreciate that, especially if you don't go to the church that supports this, just to know that there's people out there that value this podcast enough. We don't get sponsorships. We don't have ads yet. So any sort of donation, one is tax deductible. You can claim it on your taxes if that's something that you do, and why wouldn't you? But also just know that everything you give doesn't go into our pockets, but goes right back into the show.
That's right, man.
Other than that, we hope you guys have a great day. And truly, God bless you.